The strangest footage from the 2026 FIFA World Cup isn't from inside a stadium. It's from airports. What shook those visitors wasn't America. It was standing under a departures board and quietly working out how much smaller their own ordinary life had become while they weren't paying attention. So why did it take a football tournament for Europe to notice? The tournament ran from June 11th to July 19th. 16 host cities, 11 of them in the United States. 48 teams. Millions of people who'd spent years watching America through a screen, finally landing inside it. Then the airports. People standing still, phones out, filming nothing in particular. People hugging strangers they'd met in a stadium queue a week earlier. People saying out loud that they'd be back. That isn't normal tourist behavior. Nobody leaves a 2-week holiday emotionally wrecked about a car park. Something happened during those weeks, and it had almost nothing to do with football. This is what most European visitors believed before they arrived. For years, the version of America they saw came from the news and social media. It was full of political fights, crime stories, angry debates, and short viral videos. Social media algorithms kept showing the most shocking and negative content because that's what gets the most attention. The quieter, more ordinary side of America was rarely shown. Nobody's inventing that footage. It's real, but it's a slice. Ordinary life doesn't perform well online. A quiet Tuesday in Ohio has never gone viral. So the loudest America plays on TV. On repeat forever. Watch from London or Berlin or Amsterdam, and you end up seeing a country running on permanent emergency. Somewhere you'd survive, not enjoy. Then people actually came to America. And the thing that broke the picture wasn't the Grand Canyon. It was the petrol station. This detail keeps coming up, and it sounds absurd until you understand why it lands. British visitors filming American gas stations. Not sarcastically, but genuinely stunned. Because in America, the gas station has a proper restroom. Hot food. A whole rotisserie chicken under a lamp at 11 at night. One visitor filmed the pump price, laughed, then realized the number on the screen was lower than what he pays at home. None of this is exotic. That's exactly the point. It's the boring, structural, everyday layer of a country. And it was in that boring layer that the gap showed up. Then take it further. Buc-ee's, the Texas travel center chain, runs just 56 locations across 13 states. Not thousands. 56. But the one in Luling, Texas is officially the largest convenience store in the world, and 4 of the chain's sites now run 120 fuel pumps. A petrol station people plan a road trip around. Europe simply does not have that concept. Europe keeps necessity and leisure in separate boxes. You go to the supermarket because the fridge is empty. You leave when it isn't. That's the deal. America quietly tore that rule up. Walmart runs around 4,600 stores across the United States. Costco now operates 924 warehouses worldwide, roughly 85% of them in North America. Bass Pro Shops build stores with waterfalls inside. College bookshops look like the merchandise wing of a pro sports team. And people wander. For an hour. With no list. America took that energy and spread it across an entire country until it stopped feeling special. The extraordinary became a Tuesday afternoon. There's an old American joke about walking into a shop for toothpaste and leaving with garden furniture, 3 cushions, a scented candle, and no memory of the original mission. Visitors laughed. Then it happened to them. And they understood the joke was never about shopping. It was about a country where an errand can accidentally become the best 2 hours of your day. And then they experienced America's national parks. American National Park System covers more than 85 million acres across 433 separate sites. Yellowstone alone is about 2.2 million acres, several times the size of Luxembourg. Range St. Elias in Alaska runs to 13.2 million acres. That single park is bigger than the whole of Switzerland. These aren't green spaces bolted onto a city. And the difference comes down to one number. The United States averages roughly 38 people per square kilometer. Germany runs at about 240. The Netherlands is over 500. Europe has staggering wilderness, Norwegian fjords, the Alps, the forests of Finland. But there the land carries fingerprints. Farms, walls, villages, church towers, roads older than some nations. Beautiful. Managed. Occupied. America hands you something different. The feeling that human beings haven't yet got round to every square inch of it. And that does something to a person. A canyon does not care about your inbox. For a few weeks, the land refuses to arrange itself around your problems, and your problems get smaller. You cannot fold that into a suitcase. So it stays behind at the gate. The second shock arrived after 9 at night. In England, the Sunday Trading Act of 1994 still limits any shop over 280 square meters to a maximum of 6 continuous hours of Sunday trading, and only between 10 in the morning and 6 in the evening. In Germany, most standard retail doesn't open on Sundays at all, with narrow exemptions for stations, airports, bakeries, and specific designated dates. Those laws exist for real reasons: rest, family time, protecting shop workers. But they train a country to live on a clock that doesn't negotiate. America made a different bet. There's no national rule forcing large stores to shut after 6 Sunday hours. Restaurants, gyms, convenience stores, and venues run deep into the night. It varies by city and state, but the message is steady. Your time is yours, even at an inconvenient hour. That mattered during this tournament because nobody was on a normal schedule. Matches finished late. Time zones scrambled everyone's appetite. In many European cities, leaving a match after midnight starts a race, closing kitchens, thinning transport, one last shop guarding its sandwiches like state property. In American cities, the night just gets a second shift. Waffle House alone runs more than 2,000 restaurants across 25 states, half the country, round the clock, so reliably that Americans treat a closed one as evidence the weather has turned genuinely dangerous. The appeal isn't convenience. It's authority over your own day. Nobody asks you to justify wanting dinner at midnight. Then there's the thing visitors noticed at the counter. According to the National Retail Federation, Americans returned roughly $743 billion of merchandise in a single year, about 14.5% of all retail sales. Look at that number properly. That's not a scandal. That's a system deliberately built to absorb human indecision. Europe protects consumers too. Under EU rules, online shoppers generally get a 14-day withdrawal window. But in a physical shop, unless the item is actually faulty, you're usually at the mercy of that retailer's own policy. In America, 30, 60, even 90-day return windows have become normal across major chains, despite no federal law requiring any of it. That changes the emotional weight of a decision. In Paris or Rome, buying something can feel like a commitment you'd better get right. In America, it feels like a test drive. Take it home. See if it survives Monday. It shows up in restaurants too. Swap the side. Adjust the drink. Remove the ingredient. The menu is a suggestion, not a contract. The most surprising were public libraries. American public libraries break almost every stereotype. Federal survey data covers roughly 9,000 public library systems across more than 17,000 outlets. In 2017, Americans made 1.32 billion visits to them. Even in the most recent figures, it's over 800 million. And the real draw isn't the equipment. It's the absence of pressure. In a shopping center, every seat is waiting for a purchase. In a cafe, the table starts judging you around hour 2. An American library lets a person sit, charge a phone, read, cool down, or simply exist without being converted into a customer. In cities where practically every indoor square foot has its own payment plan, that hits hard. It reveals a side of America that never gets exported. The country famous for private enterprise has also built thousands of rooms where opportunity is deliberately taken off the till. The last thing that got them was the variety. 50 states. More than 3.5 million square miles. The Census Bureau files them into 4 regions and 9 divisions, and those labels barely scratch it. Louisiana carries French, Spanish, African, Caribbean, and indigenous threads into something entirely its own. New Mexico blends Pueblo, Hispanic, Mexican, and Western traditions in a way that could never be mistaken for Massachusetts. Hawaii sits thousands of miles offshore, Polynesian to its core. Europe understands regional pride. Bavaria isn't Berlin. Scotland isn't southern England. But crossing those lines usually means a border and another language. America gives you that same discovery without ever leaving the story. Blues in Memphis. Spanish everywhere in Miami. Cowboys treated as completely ordinary in Fort Worth. And none of those places has to surrender its personality to prove it belongs. That's what outsiders get wrong about American patriotism. Unity there doesn't demand sameness. States tease each other relentlessly, but the argument happens under one roof. The tournament is over. Spain lifted the trophy on the 19th. The record, nearly 6.8 million people through the gates, at almost 100% capacity, goes in the books. But the thing that lasts is smaller and stranger. Millions of people arrived expecting to endure a country and left grieving it. They came for football. They stayed up until 3 because they could. They stood in a national park bigger than a European country and felt their problems shrink. They sat in a free room in an expensive city, and nobody asked them to buy anything. And then a departure board told them it was time. The media had prepared them to survive America. Nobody warned them that leaving would be the hard part.